Hi everyone and welcome to the Free Range Diva. Today I want to talk about omega fatty acids. These are essential nutrients that we all need, and I want to give you a little information about how they work in the body, what they do, what happens when you don't get enough. So if you want to know more about omega fatty acids, then just keep watching. So what are they? Omega fatty acids are fats or lipids that are essential nutrients for the body, which means that you can only get them from food. There's 11 different types of omega fatty acids, and you're probably familiar with omega-3s, omega-6s maybe, but there's 5, 7, 9, 11, and they all do different things. But of the 11, only omega-6s and omega-3s are truly essential in that the rest can be synthesized in the body from those two omega fatty acids. But you do need at least to get those two. Of course, you can ingest the others in different foods, but those two are critical. Their purpose? They form the structural components of cells. Particularly, it is critical for the function of the cell membrane, which allows nutrients to pass in and out of cells. If the cell membrane is not functioning properly, the cell can't get the water, vital nutrients, and electrolytes that it needs in order to survive. Omega in Greek means the end, and if you don't get enough omega fatty acids in your diet, it'll be the end of you. In the body, these fatty acids are transformed into something called prostaglandins, which help to regulate the inflammatory as well as the anti-inflammatory response in the body. Additionally, these prostaglandins regulate the allergic response, blood clotting, platelet aggregation, blood pressure, heart function, kidney function, nerve transmission, hormone synthesis. So you understand why, just from that list, why these it's important to get these fatty acids into your system, because they pretty much regulate everything. Some of the problems that can occur from omega fatty acid deficiencies include arthritis, constipation, depression, dry, lifeless hair, dry mucous membranes, dry skin, forgetfulness, colds, high blood pressure. I mean, the list goes on and on. Indigestion, immune issues. And if you have something like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are deficient in omega fatty acids, but because a lot of things can cause a lot of these problems. But you might want to look at that as perhaps helping to improve if you have any of these symptoms. That's from deficiency. There are certain health conditions are linked to insufficient intake of omega-3 fatty acids, and these include acne, allergies, Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, dermatitis. The list is huge. Sjogren's, sepsis, schizophrenia, learning difficulties, cancer, breast problems, autoimmune diseases, asthma. If you are not, and that's just omega-3s. So it is important to really think about whether or not you're getting enough of these fatty acids in your diet. For about 8 months, I was ingesting flax meal every day, about 2 tablespoons, and then I stopped. And during that time, I wasn't taking any other omega-3, like supplements. I wasn't eating a lot of fish. I was probably eating fish once a month. And I was having problems with dry eyes. My eyes were, my corneas got scratched, and then anytime after that, I couldn't wear contacts anymore because my eyes were just too dry, even opening and closing. Of course, I did not make the association at that time, but just something to, just something to be aware of. And again, it does not mean that a lack of these nutrients causes those particular problems all the time, because all of those problems have, like stroke, for example. There are a lot of different causes for that. But, it can't hurt to make sure that you're getting the proper amount of omega-3s through your, and omega-6s and other fatty acids through your diet. So let's get specific about some of the types. There's omega-3, also known as alpha linolenic acid, omega-6, known as linoleic acid. There's omega-9, which is called oleic acid, and another type of omega-6 is known as GLA, or gamma-linolenic acid. In addition, there are subsets of omega-3s that are critical for things like brain and heart health specifically. Those would be DHA and EPA. I know that's weird, but it's going to be important later on. So again, omega-3 fatty acids, ALA, omega-6, LA, and then subsets of omega-3 are EPA and DHA. So as I said before, you have to get your omegas in your food. Sources that are what is that? I'm sorry if you hear that. That's a machine somewhere in the neighborhood. Okay, so some sources for omega-6 acids, linoleic acid include soy oil, corn, safflower, and canola oil. These are not necessarily the most nutritious sources. For example, sunflower oil is a lot more nutritious. Walnut oil, peanut butter, hemp, and avocado oil all provide you with a full complement of omega-6s. And for the GLA, the gamma-linoleic acid, which is a subset of that, you have borage oil, evening primrose, black currant, hemp, and spirulina. Omega-3s can be found in flax seeds and chia seeds. For the DHA and the EPA subset components of omega-3, you want fatty fish, algae, or fortified foods. Some of the highest fish are mackerel and salmon, as well as cod liver oil, and chlorella and spirulina and algae are also good plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids. So because a lot of the processes in the body that depend on omega fatty acids have to do with the brain, the reason being that brain cells hold a lot of fats and lipids, as do eye cells. So you can see why you want to protect your brain, you want to protect your sight, and omega-3 fatty acids are a way that you can do that. Something that's unique about omega-6s is that they contribute to the pro-inflammatory response. Now, you hear a lot about inflammation, bad, 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 and indeed, because our diets in the past have, well, the last like 10 or 15 years, low carb has been, the diet of choice, the quote, healthy diet of choice. And now we're learning that is not the case. We're still seeing the effects of, a generation of eating low carb, with type 2 diabetes showing up in children, obesity being out of control. And I know it's difficult to break that habit, but it is time to sort of rethink fats that we get in our diet, because not all fat is bad fat. The most dangerous types of fat are the trans fats or hydrogenated fats, which started out as, say, canola oil or something, and because of processing, it gets turned into something that becomes toxic to the body. Some foods that contain these hydrogenated fats include margarine, vegetable oil shortening, things like that. And you get them in packaged foods. So the more you can cut back on packaged foods in your diet, the less of these more destructive trans fatty acids you will get. This is the Healing Foods Encyclopedia, Bible, whatever, encyclopedia. And one of the things they talk about here on this subject, they say that the unnatural forms of fatty acids interfere with the body's ability to utilize important essential fatty acids. One study has estimated that substituting polyunsaturated vegetable oils for margarine containing hydrogenated vegetable oil would reduce the likelihood of developing type 2 diabetes by a whopping 40%. So, smart fats, not bad fats. Omega fatty acids are some of the most well-studied nutrients around. I think, like around 10 years ago, there were some 50,000 studies that had been done on PubMed. Some of the studies are good, some are somewhat questionable. An example was one that was done years ago now on a population the Inuit population in northern Alaska. They wanted to find out what would happen if they supplemented their diet with a fish oil supplement. And they found that didn't improve heart rates or diabetes. It basically didn't do much of anything. Well, the problem with that study is that the Inuit population, their natural diet is about 60% fish. So no, if you give them a little pill to go along with the fish that they're already eating, you're not going to see that much of a difference. So you have to take a lot of studies with a grain of salt. There is now a drug, and I've forgotten the name of it, but I will link it, that developed by the pharmaceutical companies, that says that it is the only FDA-approved fish oil drug, supplement, whatever. The pharmaceutical companies, having given up trying to disprove that this stuff works, have now jumped on board and are marketing it. I mean, the good news is that if you're someone who relies on your insurance to pay for prescriptions and things, you can get your insurance to pay for your fish oil prescription. In a healthy diet, it is important that we keep the omega-6s and omega-3s in balance. In the past, we have tilted way over into consuming more omega-3s, more omega-6s than 3s, throwing the balance off when it should be exactly the opposite. If omega-6 consumption is here, omega-3 consumption should be about like that. So how do we do that? Of course, you want to stay away from packaged foods, eat whole foods as much as you can. The general consensus recommendation is that you get 2 4-ounce servings of fatty fish into your diet every week. If you are battling something like heart disease, the American Heart Association recommends that you additionally add 1 gram of fish oil per day. Other ways that you can get your omegas in include, I like sunflower oil to cook with because it has a high smoke point and it's loaded with vitamin E in addition to the omega-6 fatty acid. Olive oil has a lot of omega-9s in it. If you consume animal protein, particularly if it's grass-fed, that's going to give you the perfect ratio of omega-6 to 3. You're going to get more omega-3s in grass-fed protein than you would in conventionally raised protein that has been fed grains. Other ways to get it into your diet is for plant-based, the number one source for omega-3s is flax. Also, walnut oil are high, and chia seeds are also high in omega-3 fatty acids. The only thing, caveat about plant-based omega-3s is that you're getting the ALA from the plants, and then your body has to convert it into EPA and DHA. So you have to be a good converter. I know that during the 8 months that I was eating flax seeds every day, I wasn't supplementing with any kind of fish oil. I didn't even think about it. I think because my body was satisfied. And so I guess that means I'm a good converter. But so that's just something you have to be on the lookout for. As I said, when I stopped that and did not supplement with fish oil and continued only having fish once a month, I felt it. I mean, there was something wrong. There was like everything. Suddenly there were like all these different things that were suddenly wrong. And before I was, feeling really great. Now, there are all these just little stuff that kind of annoys at you, but you don't really, you're not really motivated to go see a doctor because none of it's that important. It's just little things that weren't working. Once I went back on the flax and my latest supplement, which I will talk to you about right now, I do take a supplement a day because, again, I don't eat fish twice a week. I wish that I did, but I don't. And so I have the flax in the mornings, and then at lunchtime I will take one of these. This is the RX Omega-3 from Natural Factors. It's their Women's Sense line. And the reason I like this is because it has, in addition to fish oil, it has flax seed oil in it as well. And it has evening primrose oil, which is an excellent source of the omega-9 and the gamma-linoleic acid here. You can also get it in a separate supplement. And this also does wonderful things for the female hormone system. So that's why I do supplement. But, you can get just like a straight fish oil, like here's a basic just omega-3 if you're not getting the recommended amount of fatty fish in your diet. When you are getting enough omega-3s in your diet, you can expect to see the reason that they often tell people to supplement if you're having heart disease is it can make your lipid profile better, your HDL to LDL ratio. It can, improve. It can, in my case, it can definitely improve your skin. My eyes are back to normal. If you are suffering from bald spots, hair, omega-6 fatty acids, that pro-inflammatory response will grow your hair, will help your hair to grow back. It encourages hair growth. The pro-inflammatory response, even though it gets a bad rap, is often necessary for a lot of different bodily functions. For example, if you get cut, the healing process is a pro-inflammatory response. Same thing if you get hit and you end up with a bruise, that's a pro-inflammatory response. So the idea is you don't want to get rid of that. You want to keep it performing the way that it is supposed to perform. One of the things I've also noticed is that it can improve the quality of your hair and your skin, especially if you have dry skin. This can be, when I first changed my diet and was consuming things like avocados and more fish and grass-fed meats, the first thing I noticed is that my skin, which had always been on the dry side, not only was not dry anymore, but those bumps that you get under your arms here or on the outer parts of your thighs, those little annoying little bumps, which I had had all my adult life, they went away and they've never come back. So if you do have dry skin, perhaps you're not getting enough fats in your diet. Other things that I have noticed since my nerve issues, my back definitely improves, and now that I'm on it, it stays improved. So there are a lot, and mental clarity. You may not be able to witness it because I'm searching for my words a lot, but it can help with keeping your brain functioning at its optimum level, and it can be protective against dementia and Alzheimer's. They've always called fish brain food, and there's a reason why. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Just give it a thumbs up. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I would love to have you part of the Free Range Diva family. And if you have any thoughts or questions about omega-3s that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments below, and I will, get an answer for you one way or another. And yeah, I guess that's it. So I'm going to wrap it up. Until I see you again in my next video, I'm wishing you a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Take good care of yourselves. Get your omegas, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye!